When I judge a show, I usually make an attempt to judge it for what it's trying to be rather than what I want it to be. If a story tells you on day one it's going to be about fighting monsters, you can't exactly complain that there's going to be a lot of action in later parts of the same story. But I realized that that's kind of hard to do with Vivziepop's two shows because those are very explicitly not about what they claim to be about. And while this idea has been bouncing around in my head, it only really solidified when they released the remake of the Helluva pilot. They made it so much more accurate to the story of the two seasons that have been released, and doing so kind of revealed how inaccurate the original pilot is now. Now, that's not that crazy. Things change, and the Helluva pilot is rather bare bones. But it's changed so much. When Helluva pilot first came out, we were introduced to the amoral imps of IMP and the fucked up reality of their world as they struggled as a business while their boss, Blitz, the always silent, was way too invasive into the lives of his employees. They were a completely dysfunctional and frankly incompetent group who only marginally had to deal with some rich asshole whose magic earth accessing book Blitz got in a booty call, who was calling them to kill people for him, on occasion. I went back to rewatch it and I'm almost surprised at how much the characters do not give a shit after watching 2 seasons of melodrama and character development. The resolution of their argument in that pilot is coming together over killing some asshole kid after he insults them. It was edgy and different and it captured the attention of millions. And then there's Mission Zero, retelling essentially the same meeting, but vastly different. I mean, they went from saying they can't afford a billboard to having one, which might be a very meta reference to Daddy Amazon picking up the bill, but basically the idea of them having no money is more of an afterthought. There are changes that make sense. Saying humans aren't allowed to see them is a necessary addition, especially if we're really getting a crossover with Hazbin. Then again, I find it hard to believe heaven just hasn't dropped an anvil on Lucifer's head for the existence of IMP in the first place. There's acknowledgement of more of the show's lore. Character relationships get more clarified. Oh right, and there's Stolas, who is basically just an entirely different character. There are so many videos about this guy being a problem. I've even watched and forgotten at least 2 of them. He's more affectionate, horny, doesn't talk about actively trying to get people on Earth killed. Yeah, the amorality's really been toned down. Not by too much, but notably, they don't even really kill a child. Actually, they don't kill anyone. They just talk about doing so later. Are the kills in the ad even real? Did Vivziepop kill herself off in her show, or did she only imagine the characters imagining killing her off in her show? Stolas has gone from a distant degenerate to an overeager repressed prince with a crush, and it's more accurate to the show, but also shows just how much the Birdman has taken over the actual show as we've gone from killing people to problematic gay rom-com, with the rom and com parts being quite lackluster depending on who you ask. Stolas even teleports into Blitz's office to continue trying to sleep with him, taking up more screen time. It's kind of crazy how different Stolas is. Pilot Stolas' censored rant is full of him talking about what he wants to do to Blitz, while Zero Stolas talks about what he wants Blitz to do to him. Pilot Stolas seems like an actual mastermind taking advantage of the imp who stole his grimoire to get some free labor, while Zero Stolas is unaware of why Blitz even has the book in the first place. And you know what? Let's look at the show in question. There are currently 24 episodes of this show out right now, and by my count, only 8 of them are directly based on the actual murder business. Of the remaining 14, 11 primarily deal with the imp's relationship drama without any real relation to going to the human world to kill someone, and 9 of those are Stolas based drama. I feel like episode 5 of season 1 and episodes 8 and 11 of season 2 are kind of exceptions because the characters don't go to kill someone, but the plot does directly result from the existence of their business. They are also, all 3 of them, directly linked to Blitz and Stolas' relationship. Like, If you were to describe the plot of this show to someone as you recommend it to them, really think about what you would focus on. And you know what? I get it. It's rather hard to build a plot around just the assassinations of the... I was gonna say assassinations of the week, but these episodes are not weekly. You might want to make a story based on a more personal conflict. I just think it's wild that the show wound up being so different that they made a whole new pilot to reflect this. Probably so new audience members wouldn't watch the old one and be immediately confused. I'm not so tapped into the Helluva Boss fandom as to know if people have been arguing back and forth over whether or not Stolos has changed as the show's been getting made. But if there have been, I'm pretty sure this new Mission Zero pseudo-pilot episode has pretty much definitively put it to bed. And you should also consider, there are all these shorts that do really go into the characters having the job of assassinating humans that would definitely skew the count I did in this video if I felt so inclined as to include them. Honestly, while this is basically a critique of the show's focus, it's not that big an issue. It could be so much worse. Here's worse. Hazbin Hotel is, essentially, the serious older sister of Helluva Boss, and much like real siblings, the youngest doing something stupid has gotten daddy to pay attention to what both are doing. Wait, I think I'm daddy in that analogy. Hazbin, with its premise of redeeming sinners and world-breaking stakes, is immediately not a show that gets as much leeway as Helluva Boss. It's not episodic in a way that you can justify having some or half the episodes not focus on the main premise. It follows a core group of characters with the hopes of, essentially, becoming better people. But here's the thing. Hazbin is so barely connected to the premise of redeeming sinners that it took until episode 3 of season 2 for it to occur to the characters to try and redeem the specific sin that got the sinners sent to hell. And you may hear that and wonder, what have they been doing since? Honestly, wasting time with grade school PSA level lessons and corporate team building exercises. Up until it was revealed that Angel is in hell for murder, I really thought he was in hell for drug use with how much they focused on that. Finding out not only why he's really there, but that Charlie didn't even know or ask, makes me feel like I've been wasting time actually caring about redemption in this show. Pointing out that no one in heaven knows what gets you into heaven is one thing, but how can you care so little for what gets people dragged to hell? That's like, clearly the bigger deal, right? And I get it, Charlie's naive. But at a point, that naivete slips into stupidity because, honestly, now I just don't think she's really put any thought into this whole Hazbin Hotel that is the title of this show. Pensions got redeemed entirely by accident, with Charlie's only contribution being helping him make the friends he'd redeem himself for. Look at the difference between the Hazbin pilot and the first episode. But before I mention that, I gotta say that I like the detail and little glimpses of Charlie going demon mode in the pilot. It kinda looked like, for all her hopes of redemption and all that, as the Princess of Hell she couldn't help but smile evilly at the thoughts of the screams of the damned. That has nothing to do with video, but I don't think I'll ever get another chance to talk about it, so I'm putting it here. For starters, the Hazbin pilot immediately has more foreshadowing and details about what's going to be in the show, reflecting that much more thought was put into it and the creators knew where they wanted to go. The only question is, how much fighting heaven was a factor in those plans? Charlie's whole premise is that instead of slaughtering sinners, the correct way to stop overpopulation is to redeem them. The episode then hammers home just how hard that would be. But then the first episode came out and began with Charlie saying that heaven's reasons for the exterminations is because it feels threatened by hell's power, which immediately threw a wrench into the idea of redemption if heaven's reasoning was so... self-centered seems like the right word. Then Adam showed up and the rest is history. Honestly, Adam's existence and the show's refusal to give him any redeeming qualities just makes it hard to take heaven seriously, but that's a discussion for another time. Basically, the show immediately started up heaven as the enemy, and every episode afterward just keeps building to the fact that there absolutely must be a fight against them. Let's look at the plot points across season 1. The first real step in the idea of redemption is Sir Pentious joining the hotel in episode 2, somewhat leading into the B plots of episodes 3 and 4, but beyond that is just Charlie failing to convince Adam and then building up to the idea of a war with heaven. Episode 4 has a deep dive into Angel's trauma and coping mechanisms, but it has nothing to do with Charlie, and essentially, evidently, has nothing to do with why he's in hell in the first place. And by episode 5, 6 months have passed and Charlie is freaking out at the lack of progress. Episodes 5 and 6 are more focused on trying to convince Heaven that redemption should be given a shot, as we learn that Angel has apparently become a better person off screen, and from there, it's off to preparing to fight Heaven. Hazbin Hotel Season 1 is about going to war with Heaven, no redemption. The only redemption in the show happens by accident, and we don't even learn the specifics of why until Season 2. And crazy enough, after learning that redemption is a thing, Charlie spends the next 2 episodes trying to convince the people of hell that she, the princess of hell, who is pretty much famously a pushover, isn't a dictator, and she simply can't do it because she's an idiot. The first interview was naivete, and even then it was pretty borderline. The second interview, that was just stupidity. It's to the point that she doesn't actually put any thought into why Pentious was redeemed until Vox needles her on it, and then she tries her generic be a better person stuff a bunch and endangers Hux's life before the obvious answer suddenly occurs to her. I haven't even mentioned that she doesn't even use the Radio Demon's broadcast to try and get her message across. Is it because more people watch TV? Or is it because the plot really needs Vox to slander Charlie directly to get the ball rolling? If Charlie wasn't the protagonist of a TV show, I would think she doesn't actually care about redemption and is doing all of this for attention. As it is, I'm convinced she's way more focused on getting people to agree with her and get their approval than actually doing what she claims she wants to do. Why else have we only seen her try to convince people to trust her and raise the reputation of the hotel instead of her trying to help people? You know, there are several new background characters who have joined the hotel and they are all basically afterthoughts. And I'm sure maybe she's doing that off screen, but the show has decided not to focus on it. What are the examples of attempts at redemption we even see across the first couple episodes of season 2? Husk insulting people while failing to do therapy, and Charlie doing a... Honestly, I have no idea what to call what she's doing. A trust circle or something? You know, she's apparently Angel's off-screen therapist. What did they even do for the 7 months between him coming to the hotel and this moment in season 2? Or is it that if the writers actually focused on Charlie trying to help Angel, he would get redeemed really fast because they don't know how to drag it out? This is gonna be very harsh for me to say, but if Angel isn't willing to talk about why he's in hell, then he's just wasting everyone's time. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Even Heaven, upon learning that redemption is possible, only makes the decision to seal themselves up because all they're thinking about is preparing for war. And because that's what they do, they basically give Vox all the time he needs to actually start rallying the support to go to war. Somehow, Emily is the only one who thought that it would probably be worthwhile to tell someone in hell that redemption is possible, and then they don't do anything. Even when they show up, they just stand around, be idiots, and get threatened with war and immediately leave. They didn't even try to mention that Pentious is back. They didn't even try to show any evidence. They just do nothing. And Lucifer? He can't harm sinners at all, because then he'd be able to do something about Vox. But he can harm angels, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to beat Heaven in a fight in season 1. And some people will say that that's fine because Adam broke the deal by harming a Hellborn, but I feel like there should be, I don't know, something to say about the fact that those Hellborns attacked him. So did he even break the deal in the first place? And even then, consider this. Season 2 establishes that the exterminations have been happening for 7 years only. Could Lucifer harm angels before that? And if he couldn't, is it that Adam breaking a 7-year-old deal is the thing that gave him the ability to do so? Option A means that my problem remains the same, and option B means that heaven, while acting to make sure hell doesn't grow more powerful and couldn't be a threat to them, gave Lucifer the power to harm angels for no reason. Pick your poison. And I actually like the idea of Lucifer being powerless, but the fact he can fight angels far easier than he can fight sinners makes it seem so arbitrary. But I don't think arbitrary is actually the word, because it's very deliberate. If Lucifer is properly powerless and can't harm sinners or angels, season 1 will need a different finale than going to war with heaven. But if he is properly powerful and has any way to stop sinners from doing what he doesn't want them to do, season 2 can't have Vox start rallying all of hell to go to war with heaven properly. The only way to fix that would be to either make him completely powerless or make him an antagonist. This video is gonna come out before the season 2 finale, so maybe I'm kind of wrong and we're not actually going to get the war with heaven that the season's been building up to. But if we are, it's notable that they seem to be setting up that Lucifer is gonna be the key to Vox's plan as some sort of power source in attacking heaven, because that's all he's really good for. Actually, why are Hellborns the exception for extermination? It's not like they can't also help invade heaven, can't they? Is this confirmation that sinners can be more powerful than every Hellborn? Could Vox beat Satan in a fight? Is this show really connected to Helluva Boss? Because sinners are treated as basically the be-all end-all threat heaven is concerned about, and the Ars Goetia and 7 Deadly Sins are just off-screen, doing nothing, I guess. The whole power system and world is designed around allowing war to happen. That's why Lilith can make sinners more powerful, but Lucifer can't stop them. It's why sinners can inexplicably get so much more powerful even though hell is allegedly supposed to be punishment for them. It's why Lucifer can fight angels, but literally has no way to handle sinners doing something. Actually, he might have a way in the form of Charlie, but she is just... Everything that could make it possible for hell to fight heaven is here, and everything that could allow the main characters to stop that from happening is not an option, and if it is, they'll just ignore it. Like, in season 1, they jumped to killing angels with an army of cannibals so fast. They didn't even consider running and hiding. So right now in season 2, they can't exactly say that they're against exterminating threats to them. Charlie brought Vaggie to heaven while she thought she was a sinner, which, combined with the idea of war, suggests that sinners can go to heaven. But it would be so much harder for Vox if Pensius could come down to hell and show everyone that he's been redeemed. So he can't. And heaven? Besides the musical number where the point is that Pensius isn't happy, heaven is only shown to suck so we don't automatically side against hell. When someone asks Vaggie if heaven really is as great as she's acting like it while she's trying to prevent them from going to war, she has an honest-to-God flashback of exorcists being abused in heaven. Seriously, how did Adam even get there? Back in season 1, you could assume that he's only like that because he really hates sinners, but it seems he really is just like that all the time, if not even worse. And I haven't even touched upon the characters giving Vox such easy layups because he's the only one here who is smart. Gift baskets? Seriously? And where does redemption fall in all this? It's just so disappointing. It's not like I can't enjoy what the show chooses to give us. Vox has been carrying this season and he's so fun. But at this point, I just don't take redemption as something this show really cares about that seriously. I mean, I've even seen it floating around the internet. Some people think that the Hazbin Hotel is basically just a place where the characters rest between plot points and don't really care about, passing through onto heaven. Even though that's why it's a hotel in the first place. Helluva Boss could get away with it because of how impersonal its premise was. So we could have the characters go deal with more personal ideas. But Hazbin is nothing if not personal in its premise, and it's too busy focusing on a relatively impersonal conflict of fighting heaven. Actually, Helluva Boss has done far more to explore the idea of redemption, which is a crazy thing for me to say about a show where demons kill people for money. Shout out to my patrons, A, Skyman, and Jag Evolved. What are your thoughts on these shows? Tell me in the comments below, and while you're at it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thank you, and good day.